I've got the ingredients out here to make pumpkin cake roll. I have the pumpkin, a lemon juice, 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of ground ginger, a half of a teaspoon of ground nutmeg, a half a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 3/4 of a cup of flour, 1 cup of sugar, 3 eggs, and then for the filling, some softened unsalted butter, some softened cream cheese, some vanilla flavor, and some powdered sugar. So I added all of the dry ingredients except for the sugar to this bowl and mixed it really well. And then I'm going to put this aside for after I get the wet ingredients and the sugar mixed together. So to a deep mixing bowl, I'm going to add 3 eggs. And then I'm going to mix this on high with my hand mixer for 5 minutes. To this, I'm going to add the 1 cup of sugar, two-thirds of a cup of pumpkin, and add the 1 teaspoon of lemon juice to this, and then stir it all together. And so now I am going to take the dry ingredients that we have, all the spices and the flour, and fold them into this egg mixture. Need to be careful not to deflate the eggs. But you also need to incorporate it really well because see there it's pockets of dry ingredients in there. Okay, I think that's got it. You need to take a large baking sheet, cookie sheet, jelly roll pan, and grease it really well, either with shortening or butter. I'm not sure how Pam would work for what we're trying to do, or what we're doing here. I've never used it before with this recipe, so I just stick with what I know works. So you want to make sure that you grease it really well. We're going to put a layer of flour on it so that after our cake bakes, we can get it out of the pan. Sometimes people will also put a sheet of parchment paper on here and then grease the parchment paper as well, and that will help you get it out of the pan pretty easy. This is just the way I've always done it, and this is the way I used to make cakes, or I was taught by my mother how to make cakes. We would grease and flour the pans. So you just move it, if you've never done this before, you just move it back and forth. Sometimes you have to tap it. Move it back and forth to get the flour all over. And then I usually go to my garbage can to finish it up. So that looks pretty good there. Back before the 70s, before Pan was invented, this is what we did to our cake pans before we baked them. Instead of putting Pam on it. Okay. So I've got my cake mixture here. And I like this bowl because of the handle. You're going to think that there's not enough batter to go on this pan, but here it is. Now you're going to wonder if this is worth all of this. And if you'd rather just go buy a cake roll at Bash's' or Walmart or Fry's, nobody's going to blame you. Nobody's going to judge you. Okay, so we put this in a 375-degree oven for 15 minutes. And I had the shelf in the middle of the oven there. So while your cake is baking, you need to prepare your tea towel for when it comes out of the, for when your cake comes out of the oven. And so I've got a clean, just a clean muslin towel here, and I put some powdered sugar in my sifter. And I am just going to make a nice coating. Of powdered sugar there so that the cake doesn't stick to the cloth. As soon as the cake comes out of the oven, we're going to unstick it from the pan and then flip it out onto this tea towel and roll it up. So things are gonna, you want to make sure this step is done before your cake is, because things will move pretty fast once the cake comes out of the oven. Okay, so that looks perfect. flip it. So while it's hot, you need to roll this up and let it cool this way. If you don't roll it up when it's hot, then it will break. Okay, we're just going to let that cool for a couple hours. I think I am going to go ahead and make the filling and just put some plastic wrap over it so that it's ready and I don't have to make it when the cake is cool enough. Okay, to the mixing bowl I'm adding 6 ounces of cream cheese, 4 ounces of softened unsalted butter, a half of a teaspoon of vanilla, and 1 cup of powdered sugar. Okay, you may want more filling than that, and I usually will make just a little bit more, but I was trying to stick to the recipe today and show you what it would look like as it goes by the recipe. So, but go ahead, make a half more recipe or a quarter more recipe of frosting or filling if you want to, if you like it more full. My cake is still a tad bit warm, so I'm going to go ahead and put this towel over the frosting so that it doesn't get hard until my cake is cool enough to frost. Okay, this is completely cool, and so I'm just going to unroll it. And then I just like to put it in a airtight container, put it in the refrigerator so that it firms up a little bit and it's a little easier to work with. And if you're going to serve it right away and not put it in the freezer, you definitely need to let it chill before you start cutting it, or the filling will all squish out. This is what it looks like after 4.5, 5 hours in the refrigerator. And I'm just gonna cut the end off so we have a prettier slice. These freeze really well too. Just wrap it up really well in plastic wrap and keep it in the freezer, and when you need to take a dessert or you have people coming over, just pull it out, let it thaw. It works out really well. There you have pumpkin cake roll with a cream cheese filling. Just perfect for fall.